and you're there, would anyone like to ask us any questions? Shall I come down here? Are there any more microphones that Sophie could have as well? Or am I the only one with a microphone that works? I did bribe someone so that was the way it would work out.
I'll just listen to you.
No, I'll translate.
Okay.
What's your favourite episode that you've been on, both of you?
Sophie, what is your favourite episode that you've been on, both of you?
What, from Doctor Who?
Do you know any other episodes called this, Sophie?
Oh no.
Oh no, stop.
Oh, it's my hormones. Oh.
It's a wonderful excuse.
I know, it's great. I use it all the time.
Well, it's dozy as you most times. No excuse.
My favourite bit. Well, there's got to be the bit where I beat up the Dalek with a baseball bat. That was pretty good. But I think my favourite story as a whole was The Curse of Fenric, because I had lots of good acting to do. That was the one with the vampires.
Oh, that's one of my sons were in.
Yeah, that's it. Sylvester's sons were in it.
I enjoyed that one as well. Yes, I mean, it's very difficult, I find, to pick out one, because we did them in kind of seasons, and we did them one after the other, crammed one after the other, and sometimes... such a run. What is it, got pepper on it? What's funny? Now that she can...
let me know how to pocket.
Anyway, now that you can talk,
It's got its own back.
you get your mouth full. So,
yeah.
so you can't speak until you've got to be very polite. You should not come from Peckham. As I said, it's difficult. I find it very difficult to tell. I like Ghostlight a lot because I thought the writing, very selfishly, for the Doctor was very kind of right on for the character. But I did enjoy the Second World War one, which was
Curse of Fenric.
Curse of Fenric. Just testing. See if you're awake.
It's your
Because I'm
hormones,
not.
love.
It's your hormones. They've affected me.
I especially brought this cardigan because it's so smart. It's too hot though. It's top of my tights.
All right.
You really must know.
No, it's just sticking out, and I'm curious,
I
really.
know, I'm not going to show everyone. That's just too personal.
Oh, wow. Anyway, I'm going to have a party. It starts at 12 o'clock on New Year's Eve at lunchtime because that's the New Year's night, Millennium, in Australia. We're going to have a Barbie and tinnies on the roof. At 1 o'clock, I think we might be in China by then, or Japan. And then we're going to have Japanese food and sake. And then at 2 o'clock, we'll move on to Mongolia. We're going to have yak's blood and God knows where else. And then slowly we'll work our way around to midnight in England. And hopefully if we're still standing, chips and whiskey or something. And if we're still standing, we'll carry on if we can. When we get to Colombia, I think we'll have to be on cocaine or something. I'll never get round to the final one. But I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to it. I think we should try and have as many parties as we can.
Okay.
Where were we?
Mike Tucker's just written us one.
Mike Tucker, for those who don't know, he used to try and blow me up when we were doing making Doctor Who.
And then I wrote a book with him.
Talking about books, I wrote an introduction to a book. It's called I Who. It's a collection, an unauthorised collection of all the novels that have been written on Doctor Who, which is great because I've never read any of them, so now I can read this and get an idea of what they're all about.
There's a gratuitous picture of somebody about to have a snog on the back as well. Don't know why.
Neither do I. It says unauthorised, but very, very sexy. I mean, I had more energy than he had. Oh yes. What was it like in Doctor Who? I had to keep kicking him to keep him awake.
Well, he spoke very highly of you. They thought you were wonderful.
Really? Well, that shows you how jet lagged he must have been. I didn't know what I was talking about, but then Blue Sachage. Oh yes, about the film. I mean, it was great fun making it. It was huge fun. The production staff were wonderful to work with, all the Canadian technical staff. For a long time, they've been used to working with American actors who have got a whole different kind of social system to filming. It's very different from ours. Ours, thank God, is better. And I'll explain why. Because our acting system is based on the theatre, and the theatre work generally, even though we have large egos, is very much a sharing experience. Take that with us into film and television. Whereas in America, you don't. You don't share with anybody except the camera. I mean, and this is, in a sense, a very arguable way of doing doing it, I feel very sorry for lots of American actors. I think they must be very lonely in their jobs because they never have a relationship. They don't even have to act with the person opposite. Someone else can be there and stand in, and then they can walk away while they do their scenes. Because Paul McGann and I came from this tradition, and these Canadians and American technicians were used to working with American actors, they just totally fell in love with us, which was wonderful. And it wasn't our doing, it was just the way we are in Britain. It was the way we work. When I got shot on the very last shot of the shoot, I was shot. The very last shot of the shoot, I was shot. And it was 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. It was freezing in Vancouver, and I had to drop dead. More of the story carries on. I get taken to the hospital, but we'd already done all that. This was the very last shot. I fell into this puddle, and it was ice cold, and I had to lie there. And then while they fitted up the close-up of me dying, and the only good thing about it was I didn't have to act, because I was dying. I mean, I just lay there dying. I was freezing, and I was shaking, and I didn't have to earn my money. It was being earned for me by that puddle. I gave it 10%. Anyway. But what was interesting was, as soon as we finished that, the wardrobe ladies and the makeup ladies went to the producer and said, please, can you not just stand up and say, sorry, you missed, and carry on with the film? Because they didn't want me to leave, because I was a merry chap around the place, whereas the other actors were giving them shit. Yeah, Eric Roberts arrived. I'd been on the film a week, and Eric Roberts arrived. We had huge dressing rooms. I mean, there were pantechnicons of lorries. We could have, big lorries, and the pantechnicon bit was our dressing room. It had everything in it. Televisions, it had lighting for every mood, so you could rehearse by. And it had showers, kitchen, the lot. A large family could have lived there quite happily. He arrived, and the first thing he did was have the carpet changed. He didn't like the colour of the carpet. And then he looked at the makeup lady, he didn't like the colour of her either, I don't think, or her hair or whatever it was, and had her changed. And I thought, I've been here a week, no one told me I was supposed to do that. Some of it was great, I mean, I loved bits of it.
He was good, wasn't he?
Yeah. Paul was great as well. I just thought that there was a lack of depth in the storytelling. It just sadly didn't quite come off. Pity, because it should have. But it was made for an American market. I mean, they were trying to capture that principally. That was its principal job in life. But it didn't quite capture it because it got most of the male votes in the American market. But I don't think it got the female one.
Surprisingly, with Paul McGann.
Yeah, no, and the older one at the beginning. I think if it had been repeated, it might well have captured that male-female market.
Wasn't it also put on at a funny time, like New Year's Eve?
Well, I think it was put on when Roseanne was when what's her name, Ellen, what's her name was coming out as coming out of the cupboard on actually doing a series in a cupboard. Anyway, she, the wardrobe or whatever it was, she was coming out of something, and that night, and also there was something major going on in Roseanne. I think it was up against those two things. Like Star Trek, the early Star Trek, when they did repeat them, suddenly they picked up more and more and more, and then gradually came back. In a way, that was the shame about the film. It didn't get one repeat. Because people might have said, hey, you missed that thing with that really handsome old man at the beginning. And next some ugly young fella comes on later. You ought to watch it.
What are you doing with K9?
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
Police! Someone's stealing a dog! Bring him to the vet.
He is clicking like a time bomb. Oh, it's his tail. It's come off. Oh dear, poor K9.
Right, okay. Well, it's good to have his photograph taken. Are you going to paint a smile on it? Say cheese.